In this video, I want to talk about the difference that people look at on the transfer side of things compared to the players side of things. Joshua Zirkzee, and a story that's come about today in our paper roundup on this Sunday morning of Joshua Zirkzee not being completely happy with how this transfer has been or how it's been dealt with as such. When I get into details on that and him not wanting to come to Manchester United, should the Reds pursue a player that really hasn't got his heart set on the move? That's one thing we're going to talk about today. The costly mistake of Casemiro, the Ten Hag backlash from that. If Manchester United can't get this deal over the line for Casemiro, what happens next there? Have we got another problem player issue alongside the likes of Jadon Sancho and Mason Greenwood? Is Casemiro key to be sold this summer? Do we have to sell him this summer? Because everybody has thought on the Casemiro side that we have to get rid of him, but do we have to get rid of him? That's another question I want to bring to the chat and get you guys involved in today. So looking at what Manchester United have got in front of us, we're going to go through all of the paper stories today around that. We're going to get into everything that's going on with England. Kobbie Mainoo hopefully making that first start for England today. It has to. Southgate is not a risky manager, but one change, Gareth, that's all we're asking for. He's been talking and giving up his thoughts on his England career and where he fits in at England under Gareth Southgate. Surely today is the day we see Kobbie Mainoo and some Manchester United representation in these bleeding Euros, because everybody's going out at the moment, aren't they? I think we're solely relying on the Portugal players right now at Manchester United. But yeah, Denmark went out last night. Rasmus Højlund feels a bit guilty about what he's done and how he's performed in the Euros. Eriksen has left as well. Obviously, we know McTominay's gone. More players being able to be fit for the summer. And then we've got Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw, Manchester United left back. Is he going to be forced back into this England fray because Gareth Southgate got the squad wrong and the pick wrong? That's the concern. And United have been talking about that as well in the papers today. I'm going to get into that. Yeah, that's a big intro. Sorry, guys. I went on myself a little bit there, but we've got so much to talk about on the paper round today. It's a different day. England are obviously starting their knockout stages today in the last 16 as well. We'll touch on that. And really looking at it today, it's a massive, massive day for the likes of Kobbie Mainoo, probably more Gareth Southgate, Luke Shaw. Manchester United today in the papers, in the news, and in the reckoning for England in so many different ways. Debut starts, the risk of Luke Shaw. Oh, I'm worried. I'm worried about Luke Shaw. Kobbie, I cannot wait to see him play in that England shirt. It has got me excited about watching England again, seeing a United player like Kobbie come in, actually forcing his way into that England side. It feels really good to be a United fan. But we're starting with Zirkzee. I've got to get on with what's happening there and where this story has come from, because it's not been picked up on much. Credit to United District who brought this up and found this story coming from Italy, it was. And where it comes from is that Joshua Zirkzee's father is not happy with how this whole transfer saga is being dealt with, what's happening, how he feels his son is being forced into a move to the Premier League because it suits his agent, Kia Joorabchian, more than the player. Now, the report says that Joshua Zirkzee had his heart set on AC Milan. Now, we've known this all along. He's playing in Italy. If you read into what Joshua Zirkzee said, everything that's happened after the season, obviously he was on holiday in Disneyland, he got called up to the Holland squad, he's still not played, he's behind the likes of Wout Weghorst, so God knows why Ronald Koeman's actually called him up to the Dutch squad. But he has said that he wanted to stay in Italy, he wanted to go to AC Milan. Now, AC Milan have had a fallout with Kia Joorabchian, and United's angle in on this has been dealing through the agent more than the club, more than the player. We know there's a buyout clause. United have been made very aware of the buyout clause and are willing to meet the buyout clause. He's a Dutch player that Erik Ten Hag likes as well. We know he likes a big centre forward, 6'4", a bit more agile than what Wout Weghorst was. Offers United something different. And Ten Hag is fully on this. Obviously, we know about this now, but the player isn't keen. He does not want to move away from Italy. And straight away, I'm going to just ask the chat and just say, look, do you want a player? Forget about everything else. Forget about what he brings, how many goals he's scored, his age, the profile of the player. Do you want a player at your football club that does not fancy it, that does not really, hasn't made that big intention to move to the football club? If there's any sort of doubt at all in the player's mind, does that put you off the actual move? Does that make you think that you know what, maybe this player isn't the right man for Manchester United. Maybe we shouldn't be chasing a player. Is this the mistakes that Manchester United have made before? His father has said that the agent is pushing this move for Manchester United because it suits better. His family and indeed Zirkzee himself have said that they would be happy to stay at Bologna. They are pushing to stay at Bologna because they're in the Champions League. He wants to play in the Champions League with his teammates that helped him and helped each other get to the Champions League in the first place. They've all been on a journey, but no one expected Bologna to be in the Champions League, and he wants to be part of that still. If it came to a move, he was pushing for AC Milan so he could stay in Italy because he has got, he's set up in Italy. He's happy in Italy. So that being said, and then you've got the agent and everybody coming in on that side of things, the representatives of the player, Kia Drabjin, pushing for his big move. He knows he can't get the money out of AC Milan, so he's forcing Manchester United in here. And it does look like the player has been backed into a corner when it comes to this transfer move. And ultimately, there is a big, big chance that Zirkzee could actually just say no to Manchester United because of this. He has always wanted to stay or go to AC Milan. Why are we even chasing a player or trying to force him? Like I've said before, and fair enough, you can come back on me on this point, and when I've said, look, United have to try and sell the club and try and convince players to come to United. It's a different transfer window this season. So I understand that, yes, but you've got to look at it from the players' side of things. No one ever talks about the players' side of it. No one ever talks about what the player thinks and what he wants, what his family wants, what upping from Italy is going to do to a young lad like that, having been comfortable there. It is a side of a transfer that nobody talks about. And I feel like this story is very relevant right now because we don't, and I wanted to talk about it because it's something that people just ignore. It's like the club, the selling club, the agents, everything else, the wages, but what about the private life? What about the family side of things? That's what's not getting brought up. And obviously, you have got a young man now who has got himself comfortable in Italy, in Serie A, his lifestyle and everything like that. He doesn't want to come. It's like going back to the Lenny Yoro situation. Yes, he said he wants to go Real Madrid, but he didn't want to come to England, and everyone ignores it. No one talks about it enough. He's actually come out and said that he feels he's too young to come to the Premier League. Now, this is people learning, players learning from what's happened to certain players before, going to England too soon. You only have to look at the likes of, Kevin De Bruyne, Mo Salah, and their time at Chelsea, when they came in early at Chelsea and failed and were kicked back out. Both players going out, one to Italy again, one to Germany again. The Premier League is a daunting league and a daunting proposition for any young player coming in. And if you feel like you're not quite right there, and his dad has said he thinks he could do with one more year development at Bologna as well, and the player apparently agrees. He likes the sound of having one more year in Serie A. And if he was going to move, then staying in the same league would probably benefit them more. He would get a bigger sell-on clause from AC Milan if they brought him in. And then if he's 2 years down the line, he gets to the age of 25 and he thinks it's better for him to move to the Premier League there. But it just goes to show how big the Premier League is. And how players, and especially young players and families, and not so much representation, but some representation is in agents, realising that the Premier League isn't the be-all and end-all. If you want a quick fix and you want big money, you go to the Premier League. If you want to look at your career, prolong your career, actually become a better player, then maybe going to the Premier League at an early age is not actually the right move to make. And that's where it's key. That's where the transfer market that's where it shows its teeth, I think, and why now, this day and age, players are actually looking at more of this. Players are having more of a say in the transfer and when they move. So you've got to just take note on what is actually happening around the player's life, where he is, what's happening with his family, what works best for him and his lifestyle. And you know what? England might not work. We have to accept it. Like, we are all bold and saying that the Premier League, why wouldn't you want to come to the Premier League? It's a great life here. Well, we're happy with it. We know what it is. But these young players now, and you only have to look. And I think some of the players are cottoning on to the fact that your career can take a bit of a nosedive in the Premier League. You only have to look through some of the players United have bought. And yet, where I'm all happy to bring in the younger player and progress and make something of that player, you do have to be aware that, do you know what? They have got their own side as well, and it might not be the right fit. It's not made for everybody, the Premier League. Some players develop better in other leagues, and they get a better opportunity in other leagues with less pressure. And I feel like, you know what, we're seeing some of that with some of the younger players in the other countries in these Euros right now. You only have to look at the likes of what Germany are doing right now, and you see some of their young players coming through and how developed they are from staying at the likes of Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. The Portuguese players and their young squad right now. Yes, we've got a lot of Portuguese in the Premier League, but it's still one of them, isn't it? Like, there are different nations that handle, I think, the Premier League better. Weirdly, I don't know why that is, but the Portuguese players seem to be more suited to the Premier League. It's a crazy one, but I just feel like we've just forgotten about everything else that's involved in this transfer. It's been the fees, it's been the wages, it's been the quality of the player. And all of a sudden, it's like, well, what about his family? What about his children? What about his lifestyle that he's got there? What about what he wants to do as a footballer? Does he want to come in and play behind Rasmus Højlund? Having watched Rasmus Højlund in the Euros, not quite cut it. What's happened to him? The criticism that he's actually getting from the United fan base right now. Does he want that? He's loved at Bologna and he's happy where he is. And he's actually in the Champions League next season. He's going to come to Manchester United, not be in the Champions League, not be first choice, and still get the criticism where he could stay where he is, develop even more, be in the Champions League, be first choice, and be a superstar for Bologna. Right now, with United in the situation we're in, we have to be very careful. We have to be very, very careful in what we do and how we approach transfers and make sure we get the right players. I'm going to come into the chat and see where you guys are. Please keep liking the video. Everybody get involved. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well if you are just tuning in for the first time. Zirkzee might like the Italian lifestyle too. Very true, Stephanie. Very true. Stu says, I'm thinking that after... sorry, someone else's conversation again. I butted in. Sorry. Get Tony in, experienced, and Højlund will learn from him. Won't cost the earth as he hasn't played any minutes for England. Don't forget Zirkzee, the brother, the bottler. Sorry. Forget Zirkzee, the bottler, says Simon. It's a bit harsh. But yeah, Agate is very close. We've been hearing all of that as well, Glenn. It is very close, Agate. That's a player that has definitely got his eyes set on a move from PSG now, by all accounts, in terms of all the reports again today. Just catching up from what's been going on in the week. That one, I would say, is probably, alongside Matthijs de Ligt, the most promising opportunity. Well, the most promising in terms of a deal being done. We know this week is big because obviously tomorrow the financial fair play rules all move on to the next year and everybody can start spending again. So we're expecting moves. A few teams being knocked out of the Euros. So obviously players then being freed up from international duty and the restraints there, they can start talking a little bit more and deals can maybe move on a little bit quicker as well. So that's another point. It's always down to the player. It wasn't always down to the player, don't forget, though, Jim. It wasn't. Like, everybody thinks that Manchester United are the be-all and end-all. Like, we do because we're Manchester United fans, but it's not for everybody. It's like, for me, as a United fan, looking at it from that side of it, if Zirkzee is having doubts, I just want to be gone. Forget it. Move on. Move away from Joshua Zirkzee. I don't want him at the football club if he's not thinking that it's the right move for him. If he's got any element of doubt in his head, you're gone. You move past it. He's not the right man for Manchester United. So Alex Ferguson did this all the time. He made sure before any player came in that he had the right mentality and everything about his personal life, any doubts, any worries or anything like that about the move, he made sure that everything was where it needed to be for him to move over to Manchester United, because it is a huge move for any player, especially if you're coming up a level, which it is. Not just saying that, look, Bologna finished better last season than United did. Serie A compared to the Premier League is what I'm talking about, and it's a completely different world. It's not as easy in the Premier League as it is in Italy. And I'm not saying that Italy is not a hard and a good league. It is. But you know what I mean by the Premier League. The scrutiny, the wages, handling that and handling everything else that is the English media and everything that comes with that. It's a different world altogether. Completely different world. Uh, what it is always down to the player. They can always say no. They can say no. They can, yes, that is right, ultimately. But what we're saying here on this incident is it's being moved forward like the agent and the club are all on side with this actually happening. But no one's actually heard anything about what Zirkzee said. So we're just getting information coming through from the likes of Sky saying we're moving forward, we're meeting the deal. And all of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, what about the player? If he does say no, Manchester United ultimately should just say, all right, he said no, he's not comfortable. Do we really need a player right now? Do we want to be convincing a player right now? So the point is, if the player has said no, and United still carry on with the deal, which they can do, they can send people out, they can try and convince him to come to the football club. But what I think right now in the situation we're in, do we really see ourselves in a situation where we're best suited to handling a player that needs nurturing in? Do we not need ready-made players that are ready to go coming into Manchester United right now? I.e. are full on board with the move, cannot wait to come and cannot wait to try the Premier League and try and pit their wits against the best that there actually is, because it is the toughest league in the world. I would, as Manchester United right now, if I heard that this news came out about Zirkzee or any sort of sign that he was, sorry, Siri, I'm not talking to you. Siri thought I was saying Siri instead of Zirkzee. That's the Mancunian accent. Funny. I don't know, but ignore me. But I would just say, look, fair enough. Thanks for being honest. We can't afford to be chasing a player down. This is the problem that I've got, and this is why I've brought this up as well today, because Manchester United is just looking at players there, looking at the prices. And this is what I said about De Ligt yesterday. And I tested the water with the poll with Matthias De Ligt. Because beforehand, no one wanted Matthias De Ligt. And I don't want Matthias De Ligt at Manchester United. I can see the positives, but my negatives outweigh the positives. I think there are better defenders out there than De Ligt. I just feel like we're going for an easy option again. If it comes to 30 million, do you automatically in your head think that is a good deal now because he's cheaper? We shouldn't think like that. We can't think like that. I did a video last night and I put it out and I asked everybody to convince me, are we just making De Ligt sound good now because it looks like he's coming to United? Are we making Zirkzee sound like a good deal? Are we making him sound like a great player because he's 6'4"? He's got a decent buyout option for us. He's young. Honestly, Rasmus Højlund last season, it was a massive risk for United. Yes, it paid off and such, and I think he is worth the money that we paid. At the age he is, I think Manchester United have got an all right deal there. 16 goals last season I thought was amazing in the season we had when we created jack shit and it was a nightmare for everybody. I feel like that was a really, really good season for Rasmus Højlund. But Zirkzee's going to come in and not be first team player. And what are people going to say as soon as he comes in? Oh, you just spent 40 million on a striker there. How many goals has he scored? He's not got double figures because he's not played the amount of games because Ten Hag's system doesn't suit him. Concentrate on getting your centre-backs in. Concentrate on getting your central midfield in. Maybe your full-backs. And then you get in another striker. That's what it has to be. I understand we need more options. And I understand that we need quality players, not just buying players that are happy to play second fiddle. I've said that before. I'm not going to go back on that. But what it does bring is the problem of trying to buy players. And we're going to have to deal with that element of doubt and that player knowing that Rasmus is there and he isn't going to play every single week. We're going to have to deal with that in negotiations. So can we be so shrewd in our negotiations? Can we be so bullish in going and saying, come to Manchester United? What can we actually offer? How are Ineos approaching these negotiations with players? Because I can fully understand why Zirkzee does not want to come to Manchester United. I can. You have to say to him, look, if you play well, you're going to stay in the team. But again, he will look at what's happened with Erik Ten Hag this season and know that he picks certain players and has players' favourites, know the system that he plays. He will know it because it's full-on Dutch football and they all play the same way. So he will know what he's coming into, being a Dutch player, and how they play. Does it suit his game, though? He's adapted himself. Let's get Adam to 50,000 subscribers. That's Barbara. All right, Bab's in the chat. Hope you're doing well. Andrew is in the chat as well. We only go for players that we aren't in competition, with anybody else, i.e. no one else is coming in for him, Andrew says. After this season and the Euros, Højlund wasn't worth 70 million as he isn't good at all. He is okay, Andrew. I know you don't like him, mate. I know. But you know what? 16 goals last season. I think we've all got to give him a chance going into this next season. Come on, we've got to. Jim, who's been a member for 7 months. Legend. Zirkzee coming, then he's not. It's crazy. No, I know, Jim. It is still happening. Like, the deal is still being pushed by United and the agent. But what I wanted to put across this morning is that Zirkzee doesn't want to come to Manchester United. According to his dad, I can't see his dad lying. Like, his dad, if anything, wants the best for his son. And obviously the finances are going to be better at Manchester United, better than anybody who else is going for him right now. Because let's not forget, AC Milan and Arsenal both were in for Joshua Zirkzee, or still are in for Zirkzee. But you don't get someone coming out and saying he's not keen on going to Manchester United. He wants to develop his game more. It may be that they've got a case here that the player's actually got his head screwed on. And that's where we're at. And he doesn't want to think just about the money. The money will come in time. That's what we're looking at. Let's see what else we've got here. Not going to lie, if I was Zirkzee or a friend or relative of his, I'd tell him to stay right where he is. That's what his daddy's doing. Good comment, email there. Louise has backed you up on that one as well, mate. Been listening for the past 20 minutes and been fine for me. Or someone having issues with the sound or something. Hopefully everyone's got. Just let me know if there is any problems anywhere, guys. We'll try and rectify that. 16 goals in all competitions for Højlund, who's not meant to be starting. Not bad for a player. No, it's not bad, Kenny. Not bad. Zirkzee's dad and Rabiot's mum. Stephanie, right on point there. The families are running the show right now, aren't they? They're running the transfer window. Only 4 likes away from the 100 like mark, guys. Keep them coming in. I want to move on to the other problem Manchester United have got right now. No, it's not all doom and gloom. I'm just putting out what's actually there right now because this is a massive week for Manchester United because going into this week, which is the official opening of the transfer window, you've got to... my volume is a little bit low, is it? Right, I can tell you what I'll do. I'll just move the mic up a little bit. I don't know why it's a bit low. I'm trying to understand why it might be. But, guys, hopefully you can all hear me okay still. There is something with this setup, I think, that might be a bit different. But most people have been okay. I think you just have to, on some devices, turn it up a little bit more. It's weird how it works sometimes. Cheers for the 100 likes as well, guys. Keep your comments coming in as well. Keep sharing the video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are just tuning in. Well over 400 in the room with us. Fantastic for the morning paper round show on a Sunday. By the way, this afternoon show will be a bit earlier, guys, before the England game. So we're going to be live. We're going to be no evening show tonight because obviously the England game's on. We're covering that on TIFO. In the description is a link for the watch along, guys. I'll give you more information on it later. So we're going to be live just before the England game on FUTV as well, guys, building up to the game and going over other United news. So 4 o'clock-ish today is when we're going to be going with that one, guys. So make sure you're ready for that later on. Other news that I wanted to get into was the Casemiro situation right now. Obviously, we've talked enough about Greenwood and Sancho needing to go. Do you guys actually... I'm just going to put the poll up right now, actually. Bear with me a second, guys. I want to test you on this one. Okay, there we go. Do we need to sell Casemiro this summer? Yes or no? Straightforward answer. We've been talking like Casemiro needs to go. We need to free up cash. His wages are big. Look, there's no reason why we don't keep Casemiro and bring another midfielder in. Like, all the talk has been, and yes, again, I'm looking at it from the other side of things, but what if no one buys Casemiro? What if no one comes in for him? United cannot just get rid of him. It'll cost them a fortune. In fact, the Sun has got in this morning on Casemiro will cost Manchester United 25 million if they dig their heels in. And obviously, after the end of last season, Ten Hag went big. He threw everything out. He was Hail Mary last season. He changed things up on the pitch. He changed personnel. He risked it. He did everything that we hoped he would do early on in the season, and it worked for him. He got a couple of good results at the end of the season against Newcastle and Brighton, and he beat City in the final. And it did save his job. I don't care what anybody says. He's now in place. But is there an aftermath of the actions of last season, i.e. the fallout of players that Ten Hag had? Let's not forget, Ten Hag vetoed and brought in Casemiro. And there was a fallout, and there was something more to it in that game against City in the final, in the FA Cup final. Casemiro did look a finished figure. He looked forlorn. He looked downbeat. Like, everyone was bouncing. Like, literally, he was the only player. He was smiling and that, so he was happy for his teammates. I'm not saying he's that type. You know he's not that type of character, but you could just tell it wasn't the normal Casemiro. And I picked up on that. I was there in the stands, right outside, right next to the dugout, and you could see it. Now, going into the season, does Ten Hag have a problem? Because there's no guarantee that Manchester United sell Casemiro. There's no guarantee that this deal gets done. And then what happens if he stays? Do we have a player there that's 32, that's obviously not going to get us any money? If he doesn't get sold this summer, his value drops massively, because 33, with one more year left to go in his contract, we're not going to get anything for him then. I don't think anybody else in world football, apart from the Saudi Pro League, is going to pay him the wages that he is on right now. And I'm not talking about Casemiro here and the player himself. I'm talking about Casemiro's agent, his representatives, and now they will now go to Manchester United, because there is rumours and talk within the tabloids about Casemiro's representatives wanting to have a meeting with Ten Hag. Another player that in a week's time will have to report for pre-season training. And Manchester United right now, and this is why this week is huge, because not only are we going to get clarity on the targets that we've got, not only are we going to get clarity on who we really are in for, and yeses and nos on certain players, because other clubs are demanding it as well, because we're not the only club in this situation this week. Everybody wants to know what's going on. So you look at it and you go, right, Casemiro's representatives are coming in. Jadon Sancho's, Mason Greenwood's, Marcus Rashford, like everybody's like wanting to know what the script is and what Manchester United's plans are going forward. It is a huge week for the football club. And Casemiro right now, I'm just looking into the poll straight away. Get involved in it, guys. If you are watching later on, get involved. Do United need to sell Casemiro this summer? Is it that bad? Is it just because of the wages and how much he's cost that you're looking at the situation and saying we need to sell Casemiro? What about the player? Did he not have some good games last night? Can he not do a job for Manchester United this season? Can he not help Manchester United out financially and not having to go out and buy another midfielder? Oh, yes, yes, and yes. But Manchester United, I don't think, are in a position where they can comfortably say that they can get rid of Casemiro. You've got to find someone for the player. And that's the big problem in all of this. United just cannot get rid of a player like that. The problem is we get rid of him and we will need two midfielders in. Can you see us getting two defenders, a fullback, two midfielders and a striker? Dan, that's exactly what I'm talking about and why this is a massive week in us identifying our proper targets. Right now, it looks like Manchester United are in for two centre-backs, according to the reports and according to what we all know we're in for, i.e. player-wise and everything like that. Obviously, De Ligt, Branthwaite, there's a couple of other defenders as well, like like Todibo, that we're in for as well. Possibly Bremer. I would stay away from Bremer. I think they're just trying to get Calafiori in and shift money away Juventus to try and bring him in. I think it was Jack said that the other day, or another member on the panel show, which I totally agreed with. But it's an awkward one. It's an awkward one right now for United. I don't think we can get that many players in. I don't have confidence that we can do, because I don't think we've got the finances to go out and get them that quick. When you need to get a lot of players in, you need to be moving fast. And usually that means you pay a little bit more because you really need than players in. United are in a position right now where going into this summer, ideally, with the finances that we've got, it would have been ideal if we needed maybe 2 or 3 players. That would have been a comfortable window. We know we need 5 minimum. We need half a team. We need two centre midfielders, I agree, because of the ones that we're supposedly getting rid of and the ageing players that can't last a full season. We need 2 centre backs. We need another forward, and we probably need a full back. We do, either side right now. So awkward, yes. Time against us massively. Massively against us. Hi to you as well, quiz time. Robert says, that's life, unfortunately. Every player has to sell as a sell-by date. Time is up for Casemiro. Casemiro didn't have Leacher behind him last season, says Stephanie. Very good point as well. Can we really be backing out players? Because I think everyone used the same excuse, Stephanie, for Rashford in not having Luke Shaw. They're professional footballers. I just think sometimes we do make excuses for our favourite players and players that we do love. Like last season, I think I was as honest as I could be about Bruno Fernandes. I wouldn't get rid of Bruno Fernandes. I can understand if a big bid came in, how the club would have to look at it, but I wouldn't get rid of him. And I criticised Bruno all season, fairly as well, I think, because I don't think he did have a good season. Last end of the season, I think he pulled it out the bag for us. I think he kept us going. Certain games, we definitely needed Bruno Fernandes, and certain games he wasn't there, you could clearly see why we need Bruno Fernandes. Andrew's in the chat says, we cannot possibly compete for Champions League places without 2 full backs, a couple of midfield players and a striker. Otherwise, we will not improve over last season. No, I get what you're saying. If certain players stay fit, I think we'll be stronger anyway. But it's still an impossible situation for United to try and determine. And you cannot say how a season's going to go with injuries. That's the problem you've got. And Casemiro is an injury concern. He's old. He's slow. If we're bringing in the likes of De Ligt, we cannot have a midfield where we've got Casemiro and De Ligt. We're just going to get bypassed for fun. It would be impossible for United to control any games. I'm not saying these players can't pass and haven't got qualities, but let's be honest. Come on. Like, every player's time comes. It does. And Casemiro's, I think, is coming to an end. He does need to be moved on for me. I think we do need to sell him. But again, it comes down to the player. Casemiro might say, I like Manchester. I want to stay. I've got 2 more years left on my contract. There's the middle finger. Sod you. Relationship tarnished with Ten Hag. Problem in the squad yet again. It all stems from the original recruitment, until a couple of years have passed and the problems of Greenwood, Sancho, big wage players have left the football club and gone, which is going to take a couple of years. Then we're going to be coming up with these same questions every single summer. Same problems to try and figure out and deal with. And it's a tough one. It's a tough one because at the end of the day, it's the manager's job that's on the line. And everybody's going to be looking at him because, like, a lot of this squad now are players that Ten Hag has endorsed. And he's the first manager the second manager that's going into a 3rd season pretty much. A full 3rd season. With even more backing from the ownership. And eventually, he will be the manager that's sort of got his full team in a Manchester United lineup, yet being the odd player like Bruno and stuff like that. But eventually, you can see like the transition now into Ten Hag's team coming through. And he is going to be well and truly under the spotlight this season. Massively. Keep the likes coming in as well, guys. We're almost at the 150 mark. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Share the video, guys. Get your comments in. DJ Manic, logically, Casemiro needs to be sold. Realistically, we need to keep him. Yep, very true. Great points. It is a case that we just can't do it as well. We are praying that the Saudi Pro League come in for Casemiro. And you know what? If it's 20 million, if it's not as much as what we wanted, a less fee, whatever it may be, like, we just need to get rid of him if the right offer comes in, because that wage off the wage bill would be absolutely monumental for Manchester United going forward. And the Ineos know it. And I think Ten Hag realises as well that it needs to be. Why is that light gone off? Why has my light gone off? One of the lights has gone off. Sorry, guys. Don't know why that's happened. We've gone all dark mode all of a sudden. I'll have to figure out what's going on with that. But yeah, quickly wanted to move on as well to the obvious. England, we are talking paper round today. We are talking England in the knockout stages. Finally, some football that we can actually get our teeth into. Competitive football. No boring, pragmatic, safe football that you get in the group stages of the Euros or any international tournament. I totally disagree with the whole setup of the Euros this summer. I don't like the third place finish crap. I think it should be straight into the quarterfinals like it's always been. It's just UEFA trying to make more money out of a competition, trying to compete with FIFA in the World Cup. That's how I see it. And I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right. So, yeah, I just feel like right now we're going to see the real England. And that real England is going to be with Kobbie Mainoo in the team. And I'm absolutely buzzing. I'm really excited to see Kobbie Mainoo start a game for England. Welcome to the Members Club quiz time with Boff and Trev. Donated membership there from Tom Porter. Thank you, Tom. You absolute legend. Smashing it. Love it, guys. Yeah, but get your comments in. How buzzing are you to get Kobbie Mainoo back into this England side? It is the best news that we've had all tournament. Finally, Gareth Southgate seeing sense. According to all reports, Kobbie Mainoo will be in that England side today alongside Declan Rice. Gallagher's going to be dropped to the bench along with Trent still, thank God. And England have actually got a proper midfield in there. Kobbie, I feel, and he's been talking and doing a lot of interviews, obviously, which tells you that he is going to be in that England team as well. I'm just like really happy for him, honestly. Cannot wait. He's deserved it. He's come through and absolutely destroyed it this season, Kobbie Mainoo for United. Breakthrough season, and to get into a proper England international setup in a major tournament as well, it's massive. And yeah, I bet his family and everyone are absolutely buzzing. But you know what? For Gareth Southgate, I think it's been needed. He has really, really underperformed in how he's handled this squad. I think he's struggled with the media in handling questions. Like for England to have only scored 2 goals and finished top of the group, you've got to say there's a little bit of luck in there as well. But we'll talk more about the opposition and the game coming up in the show later on as well when we get closer to it, guys, because I will be doing a show a bit earlier today. It will be around the 4 o'clock sort of time before building up to the game. I won't be doing a later show on FUTV tonight, guys. So, yeah, make sure you're tuned in and ready to go for around about 4 o'clock. We'll be getting everything ready to go then. So, yeah, that's the best way I think we can look at this tournament is England have been shit. We've not had any United players in the team hardly, apart from Mainoo's one substitution appearance for the team. We've got away with not getting Gareth Southgate in Manchester United, which is excellent. And I think this summer has absolutely nailed that coffin shut. Like, we're never going to see Gareth Southgate anywhere near a top club in Europe, I don't think. With the squad that he's got and the way that the team is playing, it's definitely a no-go for Gareth Southgate, ever. I think that's been completely cleared up. Kobbie Mainoo making it in and possibly Luke Shaw. Now, Luke Shaw is a massive risk. We've talked about this before. Luke Shaw, I don't think, should be anywhere near that England side. Like everyone else, like the whole country, like, I don't care about England when it comes to Luke Shaw. Kobbie Mainoo, different story. Thanks for the 150 likes, guys. Legends, a lot of you. I really do not care about Luke Shaw in England. Like, this is your fault, Gareth, that you didn't take another left-back. You numpty. And now we're forcing Luke Shaw back into a major game at a high-profile end of a tournament. On them pitches as well. Honestly, I'm shitting myself. I hope he doesn't play. And I mean that with all the best intentions. I love him. I want him to do well. I like him as a player. I hate his situation and his injuries. I really do. I just don't like what we're in situation-wise with Luke Shaw right now. I feel sorry for him, yes, but I'm fed up of the injuries. And I don't care about England when it comes to Luke Shaw. I'd rather him be fit playing for Man United. That's all I care about with Luke Shaw. And I do want England to do well. I do, yes. But I want Manchester United to do better. And talking about all of the situation that we're in, the lack of players, the worry at fullback, the centre midfielders, the centre defenders, the centre forwards we need to buy at United. I don't want to be worrying about fullbacks. And if Luke Shaw comes out this summer fully fit, being fully rested, properly looked after, and is ready to go for the start of the new season, that is a massive plus point for Manchester United. And yeah, sorry, England. I don't care. It's Gareth Southgate's fault, not Luke Shaw's fault. It's as simple as that. Shaw shouldn't have been going to the tournament. He should have had other fullbacks. There are other fullbacks that he could have picked. He didn't do because he has his favourites and he has his players that he trusts. And I think it's going to be a massive worry for Manchester United watching this game. It's a risk. There's nothing they can do about it. Luke Shaw has made himself available. He's gone. Yeah, he's gone through all of rehabilitation. But Southgate's even saying now, like, he's been training all week. I heard it on the radio the other day. Like, the correspondents in the media for England have been saying Luke Shaw's been training all week for England with the first team. And then Gareth Southgate comes out yesterday in an interview and says he's not quite ready. He may need more training time. I'm like, on one side, I'm like, thank God. On the other side, again, I'm like, why did you bleeding take him? You tit. I'm just like, right now, I'm looking at a United Shaw and an England Shaw. Like, I do want Luke Shaw to be playing for England and doing well for England because I think England are better with Luke Shaw. But I don't want Luke Shaw to be playing half-hearted, half-fit, not completely ready, being risked and not even sort of given any game time at all before being thrown right into the fire. It's literally, right, the worst game you could bring him in for. If you're a Slovakian player, you know what you are doing when Luke Shaw comes on the pitch. I don't care what anybody says. You know what's going through the opposition's mind right now. There he is. Take him out. That's what they're saying. And I'm absolutely petrified for him. I've never been more worried about a player playing a game of football for his own career than I am for Luke Shaw coming on for England in this tournament. Honestly, you may think it's a bit far-fetched or a bit over the top, but I am. Like, I like Luke Shaw. I just hate his situation, his injury record. That's where I'm at. I'm absolutely sick to the teeth of him being injured all of the time. And I don't care if the medical team is better at England than it is United. Luke Shaw should have been in full rehabilitation this summer, not even risked for this tournament. And I've said it before. I did a video on FUTV and I said it before. I said United should have stamped their authority all over the Luke Shaw situation. They should have said he's not going to the Euros and brought him back. They should have been all over this. Let's get into the chat quickly. FUTV, the best channel, Barbara, our legend. You're right. Henry says, we are going to win the Premier League title this season and the Europa League. The lot, that's how I feel. Henry, where have you got that mindset from? I want some of it, mate. Please send that juju or whatever you've got right there over. I want some of that. Or whatever it is that you're smoking. I'm only joking, Henry. I am agreeing with you 100% on everything you have said. Thank you for that quiz time. Where are you at, guys, with Luke Shaw as well? Get your comments in quickly now. Come on. Leaf says, we play better without the number 9 and with Bruno as a false 9 and more midfielders on the pitch. That is a worry as well. It is that we're having to have that false 9. And you kind of look at the false 9 situation, just going off topic on Shaw a little bit, but City did it quite a lot before they brought Haaland in. Just saying. Although they won the treble when Haaland came in. Nah. Shaw needs to retire. That's it. Simple, says Malps. Bit brutal. 100% agree, says Ben. Can we push for 200 live likes, please, people? Oh, you can do. You definitely can do, Steph. And you are 39 away before we finish up the show. Can we get to 200 likes in there in the live section, guys? It's up to you guys. Give it a like. I'm not pressuring you. Go on, though. Go on. Give it a like. Get him in there. Stu says, Europa League and FA Cup winners, third in the Premier League, out of the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Have you got a crystal ball there, Stu? That is very detailed, mate. I like it. I would snatch your hand off for it. Yes, England better turn up tonight. Just don't get any team get this far without no fight. Honestly, England should win tonight. I think we are going to win tonight. I do. I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't. But keeping my United cap on again, going back to the Luke Shaw situation with it, is I just don't want him to play. It may seem selfish. Every other England fan's like, no, we need Luke Shaw in. You're not going to be the ones sat there with no left back when it comes to the start of the season. You're going to be laughing because Luke Shaw was wasted coming on for England because he's not fully ready. You've got to get match fit. You don't get match fit in the knockout stages of a major international tournament. It's massive, massive risk is what it is. Mark's in the chat. All right, Mark, playing a false nine only worked because no one thought we would do it. That's a true point. The more we play it, the more others will know what to do. You've always got to be adaptable, and that's one thing that Ten Hag really struggled with last season, changing it up when things didn't work. But hopefully he's learnt from that. And new coaching staff can help him out as well. But yeah, guys, that's it for this morning's show. We're all finished. Thank you, everybody, for getting involved. All the live chat was bang on tonight. Absolutely smashed it. Loads of likes. Again, on your way out, just give the video a like, please, everybody. We're almost at that 200 mark. Fantastic stuff. New members, all the mods and members, and all your contributions in the chat as well, guys. And everything that you've done in helping out in modernising the chat. Thank you very much. But that is all finished. We're back about 4 o'clock today, guys, so make sure you tuned in. Earlier afternoon show today. Sorry about the light. It went out on me just in the last 15 minutes. I'll make sure we're sorted for later. Don't worry. And I'll give you more information about the watch-along for the England game later on as well, guys. Stay tuned. Be ready at 4 o'clock today. And that's us all finished. Like, share, subscribe. I'm Adam, Forever United TV and the Paper Round. That's it for today. Thank you. See you later, everybody.